All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Palm Tree Sports, brought to you by iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And my name is Corey Pujols, your host on this lovely Saturday afternoon. Got a few things to get to today, guys. Can't wait to get started with you. We're going to hold off, on the NFL. We're going to leave that for last because that's actually where the most of the news is for today. Unfortunately, no baseball, right? Rays were knocked out last week, so we're not going to really dive into anything about the Rays. We'll give them a little bit of time, right? Because we're going to, just like any other sports team, I need some time to heal and deal with it and see what we need to do to come back better. And let's enjoy the rest of the postseason in the meantime, right? Because there's still a lot of primetime baseball in the playoffs to be had, a lot of good games, and, of course, a World Series in the near future. So we'll get down to business, see what's up with that when that time comes. But for the time being, I want to go ahead and start with college football right now since we have, obviously, it's Saturday. Saturday is National College Football Day, if you will, of the week for those people who have been watching college for a long time. So we got a few things to get to here. Not too many things. Obviously, I'll start. I'm gonna go a little bit backwards this time, guys. Let's switch it up a little bit, and let's start with Miami. Right? Let's start with the Hurricanes because they already played. All right. First and foremost, and shout out to you guys for getting a W. It's been a minute. Right? It's been kind of bumpy for Miami the last few weeks. Really, just this year in general, starting off pretty rough and not getting quite any easier, but still, Miami football still held to a high standard. Still want to see you guys produce. Still want to see what you guys can do on the field. So with that being said, you had Virginia Tech today beat them 20-14. You guys started a new quarterback, obviously, Van Dyke. He basically controlled the game, So when your quarterback is the best guy on the field, that's going to happen. And my apologies, I don't know for a fact if he's actually a new quarterback, but I do know that you guys were in question about your QB conversation. Just like another team we'll talk about a little bit later on, also in your conference, but more specifically with Van Dyke, he was able to obviously control the game. 24 of 46, 351 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. That'll get the job done, yeah. Good stats for college football. Good stats for a quarterback in college football, more specifically. You guys play Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's not ranked. They're not the best team in the league, but they're still, if I'm not mistaken, a conference foe, somebody that you definitely want to put away. So it's a good thing you guys got that dub. Okay. Now, the most important thing for you guys next is gonna be Duke, right? Because I think Duke is a little bit better than Virginia Tech is, right? So I would expect Duke to put up maybe a little bit more of a fight. Obviously, the game was a defensive game against Virginia Tech, so your quarterback's still going to have to play good football, good complementary football. So that's it for Miami. Like I said before, Duke up next. We'll see what happens with that. And that slides right into the Noles, referring to the other quarterback controversial team that we have in the ACC. And specifically, you guys have Clemson tonight, 7:30, right? Clemson's ranked 4th. All right, guys. We talked about this last week. We said this at the beginning of the season. You got to beat Clemson if you want to go somewhere, right? In the ACC, that's just how it goes. At one point in time, it was Florida State, all right? That team seems like it switches, right? Like every so many years. And right now, it's Clemson, okay? Dabo Swinney-led teams, as I said in the past, are always good-led teams. It's a great leader. Somebody really knows what to do with the football. From a coaching perspective, played the game, of course. So he also has a bird's-eye view from the player's perspective as well. So that'll be the next one. Obviously, that's going to be a tough one. I'm sorry, guys. I want to have faith in you, but that's Clemson. And like I said, I very rarely bet against Dabo Swinney, okay? So that'll be a tough one down the valley. But, hey, it is what it is. 7:30 tonight, so 30 minutes after the Gator game starts, the Noles will be playing. So I'll probably be flipping back between the two of those to see what's going on there, obviously. Good luck, Noles. Anything can happen on any given Saturday. However, again, number 4 ranked Clemson. Dabo Swinney-led team. They're going to play defense. They're going to try to run the ball. All right, so good luck. We'll see what you guys can produce. Last week, all right, guys, you lost to NC State in a close one, 19-17. I believe we touched on that before. NC State's a good team. They were losing today, guys. The last time I saw the score was at half, and I think they were losing by 3. So, who were they playing? Syracuse, I think it was, the Orange Men, if you will. So, NC State in their own, bit of trouble, but for Florida State, you guys got to focus on what you got next, which is Clemson. You're going to have to play the best game of the year, to come out with a W there. In the meantime, between time, good luck, of course. Again, 30 minutes after Gator kickoff. Gator kickoff, speaking of, is going to be LSU. LSU did travel here for the game, so obviously we do have home field advantage at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, Steve Spurrier Field. That's going to be a blessing. So let's see what happens. That game is a 7 o'clock game, prime time. I don't know what to expect, okay? LSU has a dual threat quarterback. They were ranked 25th, then they lost last week. All right, so we have a blueprint. We have something to look at to see how to be successful against the team. Now, can we implement it? That's going to be the question. Anthony Richardson, of course, going to suit up at quarter. All the usual faces will be suiting up. Johnson at running back right, and as well as ETN. Wide receiver room, I believe, is clear. I believe Pretty Ricky will be starting along with the Zipper and the rest of the tight ends that we have. Those big guys in the interior alignment, I believe there was an injury there. I don't recall if the injury was severe or not, so I don't know if we have any game time decisions. However, I do know that our outside linebacker. Oh god, I dropped the ball on the name, but we do have an outside linebacker who is also going to be injured and not showing up for the game. However, everybody else should be suiting up, including Jaden Hill and Brenton Cox and all the usual suspects, if you will, should be suiting up. No problem right now. I think we're going to win this game, right? I think we're going to win the game, but then obviously I'm a Florida hopeful, right? So I have all the faith in the world that the Gators can go in and get it done. Obviously, again, having home field advantage against LSU is always big. So this is our Western rival. For those of you who do not know, each team from the SEC East and each team from the SEC West is mandatory to play a opposite conference facing team every year. So for Florida it's LSU, for LSU it's Florida. I feel bad for whoever has Alabama. Okay, so I just say it like that. But you get the idea. So this is our Western Conference rival, if you will. It's going to be a good game. It's usually always a good game. Agreed, it's definitely a very underrated a matchup to look at, especially if you know the history between these two teams, because with the West and the East are very similar, right? So Georgia and Florida, usually whoever wins that game is the team going right to the SEC championship game. However, in the West, it's usually between LSU and Alabama. So we've seen that matchup quite a few times in the last 2 decades, actually, and they were always games to go back and rewatch, never something to sleep on. So let's see what happens next. After this game against LSU, obviously we have Georgia. Look, just like anybody else, I'm never excited to talk about Georgia, especially when they're playing good football right now. Last I saw, they were playing Vanderbilt. Called my dad. Dad said, "What's the score?" I said, "Probably 56-zip." It was halftime. It was 28-zip. So hey, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We know what happens with some of these games. Okay, they were halfway there. Last time I saw it was about a quarter through the third. So we'll see what happens. Georgia's looking like they're going to pounce on Vanderbilt. So obviously, good luck, Florida, next week, because we're going to need it. But the job right now is to not look far ahead into the future and pay attention tonight, right? Live in the moment. Let's go defeat the team in front of us right now, which happens to be the LSU Bengal Tigers. All right. Now, last week we had a great game against Mizzou. Okay, I scratched that. Not a great game. We had a good game. We won the game. Mizzou always plays Florida tough. Okay. You watch Florida football ever since they joined the SEC. Mizzou week has just been like, let's just go get it done and over with. You know what I'm saying? I swear to God, it's like playing Tennessee when they're ranked. Okay, or Kentucky when they're ranked. Like, let's just go in and get it done. All right, let's get it done. Let's win. Let's get out. I don't want to dance around this. We'll reminisce when the season's over. Okay, like, let's go in and get it done, because these teams, man, they back in the day used to call these games trap games, right? When you have, like, if you guys remember way back in like 2011, the Browns beat the Patriots, and the starting quarterback for the Browns was like McCoy. Like, I can't remember what his first name was, but McCoy he played for Texas Longhorns back in the day in his college days. And they beat out the Patriots. Back when Tom was at quarter, they went like 12-4 that year, and one of the losses was like the 2-15 Browns. It's one of those things, right? So you never know what's going to happen when those two teams hook up. Luckily for us, we had a Jaden Hill on the backside who finally got the start. He's been in and out of injury for so long. I know we talked about this last week because the game was an early game, but just to shine a light on that young man, obviously. Colt McCoy, that is correct. Oh, I appreciate that. Yes. Colt McCoy was the quarterback. But yeah, back to Jaden Hill. Just impressive to see what he was able to do in the lineup. Again, his first time playing the full game outright, and we saw what happened. Great defense from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, right? 2 picks, 1 pick six, 1 to shut down a red zone drive from Mizzou that surely would have changed the outcome of the game, obviously, if they were allowed to score there. So just somebody to look out for right now. Obviously, Jaden Hill is going to be somebody to keep your eye on. He's a safety. He's going to be, I believe he's a strong safety on the backside, so you will see him a lot of the time, all right, closing in on mediocre to long routes. and just be a menace in the backfield. Can't wait to see what he does here for against LSU. Hopefully another couple interceptions, right? Real quick thoughts for the game. In order for the Gators to be successful, we always got to do the same thing, right? The Gators are always successful, always, when we run the ball better than the other team, all right? You go look at the history of Florida. Go look at Florida's running backs. They have a history of good and great running backs, and a lot of running backs who actually become something in the pros, right? Like, running backs that get slept on and they end up becoming something. And we just saw that recently with Dameon Pierce, all right? And that's a perfect example. So good job. Shout out Dameon Pierce. Keep doing what you're doing. Glad to see you out there running the ball just like you ran it out here in Florida, all right? Now, as far as, we got a complimentary set of running backs, 3 good running backs. We actually have 4, but 3 of them that are going to be getting probably more than 5 to 10 touches per each of them. Obviously, if you want to count Anthony Richardson as a running back, that'll make 4 from the starting perspective, and we got to run him too. He's got to be comfortable, right? This guy is the most talented guy in the world when he's comfortable. But when he's not comfortable and he's not flowing, right? Like Bruce Lee said, be like water. He's not flowing like water. He gets in his own head. He starts making bad decisions. Let's keep him happy, right? Let's get the ball down the field. Let's score. All right? And we know what to do. LSU, again, they lost last week, so we have a way in, guys. Let's go and get that W, all right? So that's going to wrap it for college football for today. Like I said, not a lot from our in-state games. There are a lot of ranked games today. So for those of you who have any teams outside of Florida, pay attention to that because a lot of ranked games, a lot of good ones on, and still a few more to go tonight. When we get back, we'll go ahead and talk a few more Florida teams as far as football and hockey is concerned, and we'll touch a little bit on basketball as the preseason continues to go on. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host for Palm Tree Sports, brought to you by iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' to NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal Sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal Sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
Alrighty, you guys, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports, brought to you by iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host. And as you guys know, we just covered some college football. We're going to go ahead and dive into what's going on with the Bolts. Again, no off season for right now for baseball, for our Rays again getting knocked out. So we're not really going to touch on them again. We're going to use this time for healing and just to figure out what we can do for next season. Now, as far as the Bolts are going to be concerned, They started the season 1-1, all right? So we lost the first game against the Rangers. I'll be completely honest with you, I fully expected that, especially after the way the preseason went. Again, a lot of our starters did not touch the ice for the, 90% of that preseason, right? So, and considering the hurricane And of course, the relief efforts, that has gone out from Tampa. Again, I live here in Tampa, so I've seen all the teams, everybody, all the organizations, all the businesses have been sending all the love down south to Fort Myers and Vero Beach and just the area that was devastated, and no different from the Bolts. So obviously their season was a little bit rocky to start. Lost the first game against the Rangers. We're able to bounce back though. Okay. We're able to bounce back against the Blue Jackets. 5-2 victory over them. Good job, guys. Way to get that W and bring it back into the win column. So now we're sitting back 1-1. Heading into the next game. The next game is against the Penguins. The Penguins are 1-0, so they have one less game to their name than we do at the moment. Hopefully, we can put a 1 into that loss column for them and add a dub to ours. Nothing crazy to report from those two games. The first loss was a 3-1 game, so very much so the score of a first game from the hockey perspective that you would see, just about anywhere else. Nothing too dramatic, but that 5-2 shows some offense against the Blue Jackets. That's what we like to see down here, right? Obviously, the boys on ice are over there shooting the puck as hard as they can and trying to hit those shots, get those points, and that's what we need more of, because towards the end of the playoff run that we had, that was the weakness. Obviously, our boys got tired. They got really tired. The process of a regular season and into the playoffs, a lot of the time in sports in general, this is not just for hockey. You see it all the time in football. You see it all the time in baseball. Sometimes it's about the team who still has the most resources, still in the best shape, right? Still has more in the tank. So sometimes it's not necessarily a race to the end, but just a race in general, right? And you want to still be there standing at the end of it all, if not, winning it all. So that's what's going on with the Bolts right now. Can't complain with the start, like I said. That 3-1 loss against the Rangers, mind you, the Rangers made the playoffs last year. Okay, so that's another thing to take into consideration. Wasn't a pushover game, so it's still part of the process. Early in the season, let's see where things go from here. Okay, so that's the first thing, or the last thing I should say about the Bolts. Now, NBA still in preseason, okay? A lot of shakeups. There's a lot of rumor talk about trades and whatnot, and that's really what the big thing is going on right now in the NBA. Is trying to figure out who's gonna go where, who's gonna fit where. And down here in Florida, we possess two teams, specifically from the basketball perspective, the NBA, the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic. So, for those who do not know, I'm enamored with the Miami Heat. I'm enamored with LeBron James. So when LeBron James went to Miami, it was a match made in heaven. Me and my cousin lived together at the time, and we watched every game, and we were hopping off the seat, every playoff game, into those final two championships they was able to win there in Miami. Okay, so monumental. It is the feeling that comes to mind when I think about the Miami Heat. Then obviously to see what they were able to do a few seasons ago to get back to the finals and do just a phenomenal job behind Jimmy Butler and those young boys over there that are very, 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 very talented down there in Miami. Okay, so obviously we're going to be looking at more to see how things evolve around them with Eric Spoelstra at the head coach, and just all those things, those little cogs are going to work themselves out. Obviously Tyler Hero re-signed with Miami, if I'm not mistaken. So, holding on to that young shooter for a while. Hopefully he continues to build his confidence as a shooter and can become one of the more elite three-pointers as he moves into the middle prime of his career. He's still young, right? So, like I said, it starts young, and we saw it with Steph. We saw it with Ray Allen, Tracy McGrady. Okay, so the kid has ability. We got to see if he's going to evolve into it. That's the first thing. Jimmy Butler, he's JB. What can we say? He works harder than anybody else. That Mamba mentality that Kobe was known for back in the day, something that JB hasn't. I would love to see him get a ring. Obviously, it's not going to be easy in the East, but hey, it's not going to be easy in the West either. Let's just be honest with it. We're in an age of such talented ball players, right? And that leads me over to the Orlando Magic. Again, this is all preseason, so nothing's written in stone. And once things get written in stone, we'll dive further into it once we know exactly what's going on. But the Orlando Magic, they have been stuck in neutral, all right, since back in the day, since T-Mac and before that it was Shaq, right? There were times where this Orlando Magic team just had it, and then there were times where they just haven't had anything. All right, let's just be honest with you. The Orlando Magic, from the standpoint of the Miami Heat, is completely different. Never won a world title before, okay? So, and the best player they probably ever produced was Shaquille O'Neal, and they let Shaquille O'Neal go, all right? And he went on to go be a 5-time world champion with the Lakers. So I think what the Orlando Magic need to do is to find an identity, right? Their identity probably lies in the draft with some type of young stud that they can build around. And the reason why I say that is because they've tried it with the putting good teams together and trying to have good coaching and all of that good stuff. Guys, I've watched the Magic, or I should say my dad, he loves the Magic specifically. He likes the Magic, okay? They just have not been an exciting team, all right, for us to watch. And this is coming from somebody who lives in Florida, right? So I've watched all the sports. I've watched all teams do great. And of all the teams in Florida, I would imagine this is probably the team that hasn't lived up to much of the moniker as far as a champion is concerned, right? You know, just about everywhere else you look in Florida, you can find that moniker except for here. So, hey, Magic, and, you know, that's just thoughts from the heart as far as what the franchise needs to do to get back on the feet, right, and be successful again, obviously. So, hopefully that can be done. It's something that you know, obviously, you're going to probably take a couple of years. You know, going to have to look for some players in the draft, going to have to pay attention to what you need. And, obviously, one of the things you need is defensive stars, right? Going to have to play some defense. That's the first thing to start with. I would imagine for any franchise, you know, trying to identify themselves, the first thing you got to do is learn how to play defense. The second thing you got to do, right, obviously, is produce offense. You know, and offense can be produced off of defense, and if you do that, that's how you win a game, right? We see this all the time in the NBA. Points through transition, points off of turnovers, and the preseason has shown a lot of that as well. For those who have not been watching, I pop back through the games. I scroll through the TV, and whenever there's a game I click on, I want to see what's going on. And I tell you, again, I said this before when referencing Miami, there's so much young talent in this league right now, right? So much of it. So, Miami, Orlando, good luck to you this year as far as the NBA is concerned. I don't want to put speculation, right? Like I said, because of how much young talent is in the league right now, I don't want to put speculation on what I believe is going to happen. You know, teams are more shaken up now than they've ever been before. So let's get a few more games on the preseason belt to be exact, and then we'll start reading some rights off to some teams, and we'll see where these games take us towards that NBA playoffs later this year. And again, also, let's not get ahead of ourselves in regards to whether, you know, Orlando is going to be good or bad this year, right? Because we've seen this before where we're like, oh, you know, we write a team off and that team actually performs a lot better than we expected them to, okay? It's happened quite a few times, actually, in recent memory. So that's the last thing for that. Let's go ahead and take another short break, and when we get back, we're going to go NFL. Got a lot to talk about the NFL, got a lot to talk about the Bucs, so we'll go ahead and get into that in a second. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host for Palm Tree Sports, was brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the WaitAMinuteShow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Alrighty, and welcome back, guys, to Palm Tree Sports. Radio brought to you by Ice Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Again, I am your host, Corey Pujols, and so now we're here to the big part, right, of the show, the part that everybody's waiting for, right? So we got some NFL news going on tomorrow, Sunday, all right? So we got a few games. All Florida teams will be playing, all right? We've expressed a lot, okay, going over the last few weeks about Miami and Tua Tagovailoa. So we're going to start there with that because he was cleared, guys. He was cleared to start recently. I believe it was late yesterday, early today, he was cleared to start for the game against the Steelers in Week 7. Okay, so that is not tomorrow. That is not tomorrow. He's not starting tomorrow, guys, against Minnesota. It will be Skylar Thompson, all right, starting against Minnesota. I got a problem, but not with Tua. Okay, I'm glad that he was cleared. I'm glad that they're giving him, a little extra time to get his wits about him. I said last week I think he should take the rest of the year off because I don't remember the last time I saw a quarterback suffer basically 2 concussions back to back. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the idea that's in my head still, is that this young man suffered a concussion, right? Was quote unquote cleared and then suffered another concussion. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in Batman and what he stands for, and that would be that clearly, the proper precautions were not taken for this young man, especially if he's re-injured again, just the way he was, and we saw the injury was not pretty, okay? These are not the kind of hits that we want anybody taking, much less a quarterback, right? Especially the quarterback. So that's the first thing. Again, he's cleared to start against the Steelers in Week 7. We'll see how that goes. We will just have to see how that goes. The Steelers play the Bucs, all right? We'll get into that in a second, but they play the Bucs tomorrow, okay? I'm going to be paying attention to how, what the strengths and weaknesses are of this Steelers team during this game to identify what's going to happen, hopefully, with the Miami game, right? Mind you, I'm fully expecting the Bucs to beat the Steelers. I fully expect the Dolphins to beat the Steelers if Tua starts, okay? Does not mean that's exactly how things are going to go. The Steelers are a young team, have a great running back, okay? And, of course, they're going to play defense. That's one thing the Steelers are always known for, is playing defense, all right? Speaking of defense, Miami is going to need to play some defense against Minnesota, all right? So that's really what it's going to come down to. Let me look at this. They got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. You got Dalvin Cook in the running back position out there, okay? Kirk Cousins at quarter. The guy's not... He may not be a top 5 quarterback, but he's good enough. All right, he's good enough. He's better than some of these other guys that got slinging the ball out here. I'll tell you that much. All right, Minnesota's 4-1, guys. I personally think, I said this at the beginning of the season when Devontae Adams left Green Bay. I'll say it one more time. I think Minnesota is the best team in the NFC North. I think that's the team that's going to win the NFC North. They already beat the Packers. All right. So, with that being said, Miami, you guys have to play a good game from start to finish, from whistle to whistle, all right? So, Minnesota's weakness is up front for them on both sides of the ball, and I say that to say this. Yes, they have a decent offensive line, but if you get pressure, and we've seen it before. Kirk Cousins don't do well when you sack him 5 times, okay? Can y'all do that? That's the question. That's really what the question is. Can you guys get in the backfield? Can y'all wreak havoc? Can y'all stop the run? Can y'all make them one-dimensional and still keep 2 safeties back, right? So that way you don't have to worry about Justin Jefferson going 60 over your head, right? That's what you got to do. You got to play the run properly, keep 2 safeties in the back, do not let JJ go off. Don't let JJ go off. He played for LSU. The guy had JB throwing him the football. Now it's Kirk Cousins, guys. Come on. Guy's nuts. You got to neutralize the best player, right? Dalvin Cook, hell of a running back. Excuse my French. Hell of a running back. Watched him in Florida State. The guy, his vision, his cutting, and his durability are all great unless he gets injured. And when I mean his durability, I mean specifically while running the football, right? So after the ball's in his hands, he can take a hit. He can bounce off of tackles. He can break arm tags. He can run through defenders and things like that. So great offense. Defense a little suspect. You can score on them, but can you? Obviously, no Tua for this game. Skylar Thompson, I've heard that he's a decent quarterback, but he's still a rookie. We'll have to see what happens. Teddy Bridgewater was cleared as well, all right? Teddy will be behind Skylar in the event that they need him. Smart. Don't want him to get hurt again, but Teddy is somebody who is also very injury-prone, especially in his history, playing against a team that he actually almost lost his career against, again, the Minnesota Vikings, okay? So many of y'all may remember that injury from back in the day where he got his knee, quote-unquote, absolutely disintegrated. So, Miami, good luck, guys. That's a tough one, all right? Like I said, Minnesota's playing great football. Good luck. Stop the run. Double up on JJ. score more than 25 points and you got a shot. That's all I can tell you. All right, that's all I can tell you. Do not turn the ball over. Okay, y'all start turning the ball over, they're gonna run away with the game. Okay, JJ and them, they're not gonna play behind it. They're not gonna play behind a short lead. Okay, they're gonna blow that game wide open. All right, so be ready for that, guys. Let's see, what do we have next? Will be the Jaguars. The Jaguars play the Colts Sunday. The last time the Jags saw the Colts, it was a 24-zip Jags win. Okay, Colts had no offense. They couldn't convert a third down to save. They're like, well, I don't remember what it was. Was three of something, was it, or something like that? It was horrible. They I don't know if they even showed up. All right, guys, y'all have lost your last 2 games. All right, after starting the season off pretty good, including that thumping y'all had over the Colts. All right, I don't know what's going on, but y'all need to figure it out right now against the Colts. All right, I believe the Colts won last week. I don't remember exactly off the dome, unfortunately. I believe the Colts won last week. All right, but you guys did not. All right, y'all played the Texans, lost 13-6. That's unacceptable. That's just unacceptable. You guys lost to the worst team in your division. All right, you guys failed to score an offensive touchdown. All right, I believe y'all failed to score an offensive touchdown again, if I'm not mistaken. But more importantly than that, it didn't seem like you guys could stop Dameon Pierce either. You know, the Texans are not a good team, guys. They don't have much. And I'm saying that from a production standpoint, right? Like, obviously any team can win a football game. They don't have, many superstars on that team, like the Kansas City Chiefs of the world, and the Bengals, and the Bills, and, all these other teams with superstars all over the place, okay? So, I'm not sure what happened with that game. Clearly, y'all played defense, but didn't have any offense going on, so let's start there. The Colts are known for a good defense, good linebacker play, okay? And they even got a couple of good corners. Guys, y'all got to win this game, all right? Y'all got to win this game. 2 losses. Y'all don't want to be on the road for a third. Your season continue to go downhill from that point forward. You don't want that. On the flip side of that, the Colts, who obviously they struggled at the beginning of the season, weren't sure who they were going to be. Started figuring out who their players were, who they needed the ball to, started playing better defense. They're not playing bad defense, but even better defense, and now all of a sudden they're looking like they could run the table, or want to at least run the table in their own division. If y'all don't want that to happen, you got to win the game. You got to win the game by running the ball effectively, create options for your passing game, and make it easy for Trevor Lawrence, and keep your defense off the field, right? Keep your defense off the field, especially against the Colts, because Matt Ryan will put these long drives together. He didn't get Matty Ice on accident, okay? I'm not saying he's still Matty Ice, but clearly they're 2-2. They've got some dubs. All right, so don't sleep on them. Okay, not 2-3. My apologies. Next up, you got the Giants. All right, Giants playing really good football right now, guys. That NFC East just looks nuts. I mean, Giants are 4-1. The Eagles are 5-0. What's going on out there? Y'all are about to find out next week, because unfortunately, with the way you guys have been playing football, there's no way I can expect you guys to stop Saquon Barkley. There's no way I can expect you guys to score enough points to outscore the Giants, especially with the way the Giants have been playing, building their confidence, continuing to get better each week as it moves on. With that being said, again, the Giants are undefeated. They can be beat, just like any other team in the league. What are you guys going to do about it? That's the big question. I believe you can win the game, but if you want to win the game, it's going to sound a lot like what I had to say about the Colts. Run the ball, right? Run the ball, okay? Keep your defense fresh for when they need to come out, so that way they're not huffing and puffing, all right, halfway through the third quarter, right? And make it easier for Trevor Lawrence, all right? You guys spent all this money in the offseason. Make it count. Make it count, Jags. Make it count, guys. So, Dolphins, Jags, that leaves us with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's who I got the most for. So you guys, give me one more second. We're going to take one final break, and then when I bounce back, we're going to go ahead and clear everything with Tampa Bay. There's a lot to get through, so you guys just get prepared for that, all right? Here we go.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour, every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter, at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always willing to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports, brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Again, my name is Corey Pujols, your host on this lovely Saturday afternoon. And real quick, game break with Corey Pujols. For those of you who were watching Tennessee, Alabama, who were just as shocked as I was at the half to see Tennessee beating Alabama 28-17 at the time that it was. Alabama has since erased that 18-point deficit that it once was, and they are now leading the game 35-34. So, for all of the Tennessee and Alabama collective holding their breath right now, you can stop holding it. Nick Saban has gotten those boys back into shape and reminded them what they're playing for, and clearly it looks like Alabama is headed on to greener pastures. So, Tennessee, you guys had a great confidence booster against Florida. You played a great game in the first half against Alabama, but unfortunately that Nick Saban and that Alabama team, whatever he does to him at halftime, man, between him and Michael Jordan in Space Jam, I don't know who has the better juice, and I'm assuming it's Saban, considering he's got how many national championships? Like, holy Jesus. Anyway, just want to give you guys that quick update. But now back on to our main topic of discussion. What would be our main topic of discussion, especially heading into Sunday afternoon, is going to be our Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Steelers. Okay. Couple things about that game, couple things about last week, couple things on injuries, okay? So first things first, let's talk about last week. Last week, the Bucs played the Falcons, okay? That game was ugly, guys. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? There were a bunch of things that went right, a bunch of things that went wrong, okay? The offense should have been better. Could have been better. Left a lot on the table. It just so much, and that part is frustrating. Mike Evans is still that guy, though. Make no mistake about it. Was robbed of a touchdown. I want to talk about something, and I want to shine a light on this because there are a lot of people who maybe neglect this conversation. I have not talked about it yet up until this point, so I'm going to go ahead and we're gonna rip the seal off. Okay, guys, here we go. A lot of people think Tom Brady's a cheater. All right. A lot of people think that greatness is related to unfairness, right? Bias, whatever the case may be, right? Tom is the GOAT, period. There's no debate. There's nothing anybody can say to me or anybody else that's going to somehow waver the concept that what he has done hasn't been astronomical for the game of football, and more specifically for the two franchises, New England Patriots and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? He's not a cheater. He's not a cheater. He just does more work. He literally just outworks everybody. He got to do more homework, he does more homework. Got to hit the field more, hits the field more. Need to spend time with his family, he spends time with his family. That's good. Last week, Grady Jarrett threw Tom Brady to the ground in a somewhat, okay, violent manner. You might be saying to me, Corey, football's a violent game. I know. I play And I play every sport. I'll be the first one to tell you. Football's the second most violent sport next to martial arts. But martial arts that's martial arts, right? Obviously. Football, though, there is something about having respect in the sense of the penalty. I don't have a problem with you throwing my quarterback to the ground. I mean, from a bias standpoint, I do. I don't want you to hurt my quarterback. I don't want my quarterback to get sacked. But you're doing your job. Well, my problem is that you guys also seem to have forgotten that earlier in that game there was a roughing the passer called on oh my God, Vita Vea. Okay, now for those of you who do not know, I'm going to get a little hysterical for a second. Go on Twitter, go on YouTube, go online, wherever you have. Go look at that penalty. Go look at the Vita Vea penalty, okay, for the roughing the passer, and then go look on the Grady Jarrett video. And then you come to me on my Twitter, at Corey Pujols, at IE Sports Radio, at Twitter, okay, on Twitter, and you let me know what you think about that, okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, I agree. I think that should not have been called. But if you're going to take that call off, you got to take the Vita Vea call off because that call was a horrendous call, okay? So I'm just going to call a spade a spade. I agree that hit on Tom Brady was a legal hit for the most part. Tom was fined $11,000, all right, for the interference, what they're calling a kick. If I'm going to kick somebody, I'm going to kick them, obviously, better than what Tom did. But you get what I'm saying. They're still finding him. They're still holding Tom responsible. Grady Jarrett was held responsible in-game for the sack. However, again, I urge everybody who is looking at this situation and saying, oh, my God, they're cheating and Brady's getting all the love. No, he's not. Actually, to be completely honest with you, okay, Marcus Mariota was the one getting all the love, especially after that roughing the passer call on Vita Vea. That was just an absolute phantom call. All right, go look at the call. He got pushed into the quarterback, and he didn't even put his hands on him. He just bumped into him, okay? So I get a little hysterical there for a second because I want to call a spade a spade. I want there to be fairness, all right? So I understand, again, Atlanta, you guys are upset, but let's keep it real here. Moving on. That was last week, all right? Moving on. Buccaneers, Steelers. All right, first things first. I'm going to quote the Super Bowl DVD from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' original Super Bowl in 2002. Simply put, the Steelers and the Buccaneers don't like one another. Period. That's the only way I know how to describe the relationship between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the only way I know how to describe what's going to happen between the two teams when they play each other. Somebody's going to get stiff-armed in the head. I'm pretty sure you guys remember this, and this is going to, all you Steeler fans are going to get, my cousins, Keisha, Mike, and all them, they're going to have a field day about this one, right? So, a few years ago, the last time the Steelers played the Buccaneers, it was on, it was Sunday night football, I think it was. I think it was Sunday. It might have been Monday night, Thursday night. It was a nighttime game, okay? The tight end for the Steelers caught a crossing pattern. And our Chris Conte, oh my God, don't rest his soul, got stiff-armed into another universe, all right? During that game, by the time I swear to God, he was attempting to make a tackle. It looked more like somebody being baptized on a Sunday morning, okay? Because he just put his hand right on his face, and then the dude went to the ground, and then he got up looking like, all right, you guys get what I'm saying with this? Like, it was horrendous, all right? The last time we played the Steelers, they whooped us. It was not pretty. Time before that, we won. Okay, we won, but you know, that time was not pretty. So we're gonna get a little measure of payback tonight. Is what I'm assuming to be the case, and I don't want to assume. I want to believe. So I'm gonna change that vocabulary to believe. The Steelers, though, you know, they come in, pack a punch. You know, again, like they said before, they're gonna play defense. They got a great running back in Najee Harris. Went to Alabama. You know what that means, Mr. Utility can do it all. The defense, Mika Fitzpatrick also went to Alabama. However, guess what, guys? He will not be starting. I have been a Mika Fitzpatrick fan since his rookie season in Alabama. I watched the guy grow. I have to admit, I'm glad we don't have to worry about him tomorrow. Okay, I am, but I do hope that he gets better and that he is good to go. All right, following this game and the practices into the next game, again playing against Miami in Week 7. Okay, no Mika Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he got a couple of corners out. I'm sorry, cousins, but Tom should have a field day. Should. Does not mean will. Should. All right? As always, you know what I'm going to say. If we're going to be successful, we got to do something similar to what we did last week. If you guys remember what I told you guys last week before the game, I just want to be the first to say I told you so. I said Lenny need to have a big game, right? Well, what happened? Lenny had him a nice big game. 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards from scrimmage, if I'm not mistaken. Trucking people. Just trucking people. Just look just like he did back in LSU. It's great. It's great. I love to see it. You guys ever done like the driving simulations before, like on the computer, or like you go to arcade and they have like the driving simulations, and then they have the one for like the 18-wheeler, right? That's what it's got to be like watching Lenny play football, because it's like he's like this big truck, and it's being just into the next, a corner's coming up trying to tackle him, and it's like, I outweigh you by 25, 30 pounds. What are you doing? You better go for the legs. And then Lenny gets low on you, right? So I want to see a lot more of that. Definitely going to be a battle of the running backs tomorrow. Obviously, Mike is going to be slated to play. So expecting Mike to have a big game, hooking up with Tom. He's been the one primarily handling the Gronk duties ever since Gronk has retired, of course. For those who are thinking that Gronk is going to come back, guys, we're approaching the middle of the season, and he ain't talking about nothing. He having fun. He having a good time. So, guys, don't worry about Gronk. Cam is back, all right? He is practicing right along next to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So those are good signs that a lot of the OGs are coming back. Unfortunately, as far as injuries for the game is concerned, we do have a couple more names to add to injury reserve list, which absolutely sucks. I do not like what I'm about to tell you. Obviously, Akeem Hicks has been bothered by the foot injury off and on, so he's still not good to go, unfortunately. However, we've had to add SMB, Sean Murphy-Bunting. For those of you who do not know, that was our terrific young quarter who had an interception in each of the playoff games up into the Super Bowl to help us beat those Hall of Fame quarterbacks back to back to back. With that being said, he is injured. Logan Ryan, his brain will be missed, okay? He is sitting out of the game. He is out for Sunday's game against the Steelers. Julio Jones is doubtful for obvious reasons. Again, he's just been dealing with so many injuries since his time in Atlanta. And, oh, man, I think him playing as hard as he did early in his career, him really putting his best every single time he did out on the field, probably aged him at a much faster rate, especially playing for, and I hate to say it like this, but playing for a team like Atlanta, where he was the best player on the field by a light year, right? Like it wasn't close whenever he was on the field. So Julio Jones doubtful. Mike Edwards is a game time decision. If SMB is going to be out, hopefully Mike Edwards is going to play, because the dude's a ball hawk. He stays in the backfield. He's reading quarterbacks left and right. The guy's got, 3 intercepts, something like that on the season. Definitely going to want him back there. That is it for injury. Shaq Barrett is questionable. All right, Shaq Barrett is questionable. I don't like Shaq Barrett being questionable, because obviously there's no JPP. He's off doing great things for the Ravens right now. Shout out to him. He recorded a sack in that last game last week, so good for him. We are going to need to obviously change the defensive playbook a little bit. Hopefully Joe Troyanka can have a breakout game. Another one of the young men that I met on that Buccaneer team. He's a great talent, especially when he's out and he's focused. He showed us a great spin move last week, which required the team to focus on him, and I think they even had to slide protection his way on a couple different occasions that he was free shooting to the quarterback. So hopefully he can have him a big game against rookie Kenny Pickett. One more noticeable change about the Buccaneers going into this game against the Steelers, okay? We activated Nolan Turner, all right? So Nolan Turner is a safety we drafted out of Clemson, if I'm not mistaken, in the draft. The reason why this is interesting is he comes out of the same draft as Kenny Pickett, the starting quarterback for the Steelers, and he played Kenny Pickett 3 different times in college, okay? So you're going to have a unique perspective on what this guy likes to do and some tendencies. I am assuming that is the reason why he was lifted off of the practice squad and brought on to active duty, when you put that in tandem with the fact that Logan Ryan was definitely going to be out for this game. So you know what that means. A lot more Keanu Neal. Especially if Mike Evans isn't playing, then expect to see Nolan Turner back there. And if we do, maybe he can make a play on Kenny Pickett. Maybe he knows something that we don't know yet, right? So looking forward to see how that matchup arises. For the Bucs to be successful in this game, of course, they want to control time of possession and limit Najee Harris on the amount of touches and yards that he's able to get. If they can shut down Najee Harris immediately and often, this game will swing in their favor and it'll be a blowout. Otherwise, this game could find itself to be close if the Bucs shoot themselves in the foot. That's what we don't want to do. Hopefully, Tom comes out here with the same attitude he's had the last couple of weeks and attacks the ball, attacks the line of scrimmage effectively with play calls that can rock the defense. And in the event that he can do that, we can find ourselves up by a 2-touchdown lead at halftime. That's going to be the goal. Of course, I'm expecting Tom to throw the ball quite a bit, but I'm also expecting Lenny to touch the ball quite a bit. It's looking like Lenny's probably going to have more yards receiving than coming out of the backfield, but I wouldn't expect him to at least have 50, 60 yards on the ground. Maybe another 50, 60 in the air for a total of maybe 1 to 2 touchdowns perhaps. 120 all-purpose yards. Mike Evans for a big day, I'm expecting. If not him, possibly Chris Godwin. Depending on how he plays, depending on how he feels, of course. He was nursing that hamstring injury a couple weeks back, but he looks like he's good to go at practice. Cam Brate again practice alongside the veteran receivers, so he will be there. Hopefully he can also help out Tom in that pass-catching format that he likes to utilize his tight ends in. Cade Otton showed up big time with 6 catches last week. I think he had over 100 yards receiving. I don't quite remember exactly what the stats were, but he had a terrific game. And, of course, we got the other rookie, Cole Keith, back there, who also has pretty good hands. So I'm feeling a little bit better than I did a couple weeks ago about our tight ends, especially now that Cam is back in the room. Hopefully he can open up that knowledge, that bank of knowledge that he has upstairs, and teach those kids how to run routes and catch the ball for Tom specifically. Kyle Rudolph, we'll see what happens. Yes, he was practicing. He should be good to go for Sunday. There wasn't anything reported on him. That was it for the injuries. Again, that's going to be the game plan. You know, like I said, control time possession, utilize Lenny, get the ball to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin laterally so we can score points. And defense, obviously, do what you're going to do. Get to the quarterback, create turnovers, disguise coverage, and confuse the heaven out of this young quarterback, Kenny Pickett out of Pitt, okay? So that's about it, guys. That's everything that I have for us in the state of Florida as far as concerned that for Sunday and the NFL and all that good stuff. Saturday we'll be back again, same time, same place next week. We'll go ahead and discuss some more information on what's going on as we step further into the college football finals for the rankings. Heading towards November, December area where basically every game counts, both in the pros and in college. Again, no more baseball, so we won't be talking much about the Razors like we were before, but that means the Lightning will be in the front seat for them, for their slot as far as the time frame is concerned. And again, as we open up more into this NBA season, we'll go ahead and dive more into the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic as we continue to cover everything else. So thank you. Thank you guys for joining me on another wonderful Saturday on Palm Tree Sports. Of course, it's brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. My name is Corey Pujols, your host. You can find me on Twitter at Corey Pujols. I talk sports all the time. You find me and my friends there. We'll always have a good conversation. Ask me any questions that you might have. And until next time, guys, thank you again for joining me. And that'll be it for this show. Next week, same time, same place. Can't wait to see you there. Have a wonderful weekend, guys.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.